Very good morning, student. Myself, Anjum Abbasi. I am working in Galgotias University as assistant professor. Today, I am here to take your class on female reproductive system. Subject is anatomy and physiology, and subject code is 1001. Next, we will be learning parts of fallopian tube. So, fallopian tubes are the part of female reproductive system that are directly attached to the uterus, and it serves as a pathway for the ovum to the uterus and are at the site of fertilization by the male sperm, so often referred to as the oviducts or uterine tubes, and fertilized eggs takes approximately 6 to 10 days to travel through the fallopian tube to implant in the uterus lining. So students, in this slide you can see the diagram of uterus, and at the side of each side of uterus you can just see this is known as the fallopian tube, and this is holding the egg cells. Okay, so this lengthy projection which is attached directly to both sides of uterus, it is known as the fallopian tube. Next is the ovaries. So these are the female gonads or sex glands we can say, and they develop and expel an ovum each month. A woman is born with approximately 4 lakh immature eggs, which is called as follicle, and during the lifetime a woman release 400 to 500 fully matured eggs for fertilizations. The follicle in the ovaries produce the female sex hormones progesterone and estrogen, and these hormones prepare the uterus for implantation of the fetus egg. Next is the breast. So breast, this is also a part of the female reproductive system, and it is an organ of sexual arousal. It contains mammary gland. It consists of connective tissue that serves as support. Each breast cell contains 15 to 25 cluster called lobes, and each lobule is connected by the ducts that open into the nipples. The nipples are made up of erectile tissue. The pigmented around the nipples are called areola. So around the nipple there is a dark brown color structure that is known as areola. Next, breast size is determined primarily by hereditary, and size also depend on existing fat and glandular tissue. Breast may exhibit cyclic changes including increased swelling and tenderness prior to menstruation. Benign breast changes, which is referred to as the fibrocystic disease, and lumps or masses that are non-cancerous. So student, in this slide you can see the structure of breast. So at left side this is the outer structure, and in this is in the right hand side this is your inner structure of the breast. So at the outer side you can see the round structure that is known as the areola. In between that is a nipple, and you can see nipple is having some structure which is outverted. So what you are seeing there, that is the milk producing cell which is known as the lobules, and it is used to carry milk to the nipples. Next is the menstruation. So that is also known as menarche. So the onset of menstruation signals the bodily changes that transform for a young female. Next, average we can say it is 12.8. So 12.8 is the age that is known as the average age. We cannot fix it for menstrual cycle. Amount of bleeding varies from women to women, and expulsion of blood clots. So we cannot fix it. It may vary. Blood color can vary from bright red to dark maroon, usually occurs every 25 to 32 days. Women can experience fluid retention, cramping, mood swings, weight gain, breast tenderness, diarrhea and so student, in this slide you can see the menstrual cycle and its phases. So according to the number of days, how the changes, what are the changes are occurring inside the endometrium layer of the uterus, you can say. So there are various hormone like luteinizing hormone, follicular stimulating hormone, estrogen and progesterone, and you can see their variation, their level of increment and how they are going down. So this blue line is representing luteinizing hormone. You can see in initial days it is neutral, and later on it is increasing. Okay, so at the 14 days what you are seeing, both hormone, follicle stimulating hormone, luteinizing hormone and estrogen, generally these three all are increasing by the 14th day. Then what you are seeing later on, they are decreasing, and again alone, that progesterone hormone, which is representing by red line, you can see it is elevating in the around the 28 days. Clear? And if you will come on menstrual cycle alone, what you are seeing there, then what are the changes occurring in ovarian cycle? So there are various changes. You can see how the ovum is released and how the blood flows. Next, you can see the pituitary hormones. So you can see the elevation of pituitary hormone at 14th day of month. In this slide, student, you can see follicle development. So primarily, it will be a primary follicle, then it will be growing by 5th day, it will be turning to the growing follicle, ultimately it will become Graafian follicle, and next at the 14 days, ovulation process will be started, then corpus luteum, and it will be, after that it will be degenerate. Okay, if it is not met with the sperm, now degenerative changes will occur there, and it will be ready for coming out of the body in the form of the bloody discharge. Student, in this slide you can see the ovulation phase, how the changes are occurring from 0 to 28 days. So generally, after the 14 days, we can say if that ovum has not met with the sperm, then what will happen? Fertilization process will not there, then the corpus luteum will be ready to degenerate. Next is the sex hormone. We can say follicle stimulating hormone, that is FHS, and luteinizing hormone, that is LH. Estrogen produced throughout the menstrual cycle and progesterone produced during second half of the cycle contributes to thickening of the endometrium, which is shed during the menstrual phase if fertilization does not take place. So as you know, during the menstrual cycle, what happens, there is a bloody discharge is there, along with there is a shedding of endometrium lining that forms the clot formation. So both, we can say, FHS and luteinizing hormone are produced in the pituitary gland, and both estrogen and progesterone are produced by the follicles in the ovaries. Next is dysmenorrhea. So we can say this is the painful menstrual cycle, and along with there is a severe cramp in abdomen. So painful menses without evidence of a physical abnormality, believed to be normally body response to uterine contractions. Next, what are the other symptoms for this? Nausea, vomiting, GI disturbance, fainting, prostaglandin causes forceful frequent urine contraction, which is called as cramp. Apart from this, it may be because of fibroid, polyps, IUD, PID, or endometriosis. Next is endometriosis. So what do you mean by the endometriosis? So common cause of dysmenorrhea, dyspareunia, and infertility, endometrium fragments and lodges in other parts of the pelvic cavity. It causes inflammation, bleeding, adhesion, and it is treated through hormonal therapy. It may be treated through laparoscopic surgery or major surgical management. So students, this was about the today's classes, in which you have learned female reproductive system, in which we have studies breast, uterus, fallopian tube, ovary, endometrium. Then we have learned menstrual cycle, luteinizing follicle stimulating hormone, estrogen and progesterone hormone. Apart from this, we have learned abnormal menstrual cycle, in which we have discussed various conditions. So I hope this class will be clear to you, and you can follow these references, this link, for further exploration. If still any doubt, you can send me your query. You can mail me. My email ID is anjumabbasi890@gmail.com. Thank you so much, student, for paying your kind attention. Happy learning all of you. Thank you so much.